departments. AFC is one of them that's going to take the app, install it here in Agriculture Canada, and it's personal security screening system, like, when you fill out the forms for the security clearances.
Okay, yes.
Hiring and stuff. And psss and RCMP want a major change. So ISAT is going to be working on that change. So, so we've taken the stuff from GC code. And then where we benefit is everything is, originally we shifted, was supposed to go to cloud in Azure because they're running Postgres, Wildfly, Keycloak, and Azure AD.
Okay. And
but
sorry,
here,
it's a new application, right?
It's a new app for AFC.
Okay.
It's just
okay.
we're just borrowing their app. So we were supposed to go to cloud, but cloud said that they couldn't take us on because they're behind and they don't have enough staff and all that. So the only option was to go on-prem. And to go on-prem, we only had two options. One was, procure servers from SSC and just install it on a server because it's a Postgres database and we don't support, agriculture doesn't support Postgres. And second of all was to go into the Java realm. So the EAs said, well, if it's a Java app, make it fit the Java stack. And the Java stack happens to be Oracle WebLogic and Oracle Database.
Okay.
So we embarked on in dev to sort of convert and push the data into the Oracle database.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Which we've been successful. But of course, there's nuances of, Postgres columns and Oracle reserved words and things like that. So we're hitting those things.
Okay. And I guess, I guess the one thing I wasn't totally sure about, so you have the Postgres database that you got now, and you're putting it into Oracle here.
Yes,
now, is that
here.
Okay? I guess I was sort of under the impression that was kind of like a temporary step, and that you were going to be going back to Postgres at a later date. But that's not. I mean, future maybe, but like for now, you're creating a Java application, and the database we're talking about. That's the database that's going to be like a permanent. That's going to be the permanent database.
Well, no, that's not what they want, right? They want that once Azure 3.0 and everything is alive, they want us to move out into the Azure stack. But the thing is, I don't know when that's going to happen, right? So originally they said, well, why don't you just install it on-prem and we just start. The best case scenario was if we just installed it on a VM, right? And just wait for this Azure thing. But it wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
So now there's a lot of Java apps in AFC. So the only problem with that is that the database tier is ISATs, right? So they're making a major change on their software and they're sharing it around. So we're going to pull that code. Let's say, I don't know. I don't think it'll be next year, but maybe towards the end of the year or whatever. So when we pull that code, they're going to grow that database. And we got to, you know what I mean? Because there's going to be like 21. Right now we have 2 pages, and RCMP and CSS wants 21 pages of forms, which is, they're still working out the details.
Okay.
So the database is going to grow for them. So my problem was I cannot just bring a database, go through the whole exercises of making it an AFC type database, and then we have a problem next fiscal year when ISAT says, okay, GC code is ready, because then we have to go through a whole exercise of, we're really redoing it. So right now what we're trying to do is put that database in Oracle, make the changes that Oracle doesn't agree on, like comment is a reserved word, for instance, and stuff.
Yes.
And then try and keep it like that, because maybe in 2 years, if we're told we got to go back to cloud, and Azure, we can just sort of take that up there.
Okay. So I guess the thing is, like, it doesn't look like it would take that much to change everything to the AFC standards. For what it is now. Like, I'm not sure if you're going to be getting more tables and more stuff later, but like it's actually pretty close.
There's not a lot of tables, So, and of course, the problem is we've been trying to make this work from December to now, and only now we are able to get the dev database up and running because we have two issues. One was we had to refactor the code, right? Like it's not just the database. We have to refactor all the Java stack code at the data tier layer because it's all Hibernate and they have a whole whack of prepared statements, so we have to go through each one of them and we're still hitting some issues. So it's more than just the changing the database, it's changing all the underlying code. And that's the other problem. So we got to keep everything in sync in Git as to what is ISED's implementation with Postgres and our changes on Oracle. So that's what we were worried about, is meeting that. So right now we have a sandbox, and I guess I thought dev test was both a sandbox because the client's been pushing. Because they paid like $400,000 for this just to lift and shift on Postgres, and then they were told they can't go there. In Azure, sorry. And then now we're in a situation where it's like, well, it's December, January, March, right? So we were going to just show them. They wanted to see the app so that they can line up with them, with their, because it's a major change for them. So that's why we had asked, can we have a test so they can, because we wanted to separate what we are doing from them. And so the clients just wanted to take a look. And when we went to Ryan just for the changes, it's like, well, you guys got to go to IA. That's the thing.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So can you just use the dev? Like you have a dev.
So that's what we. I think that's what we're going. I think that's what we're going to do today. I have a client meeting at 9:30. I think I have a 9 with the dev.
Sorry, did you say you had to go at? Sorry, did you say you had to go at 9 or?
Yeah, it's a dev meeting, so I'd rather have a quick chat with you. 9:30, I have the client meeting.
Okay.
So I think I'm just going to tell them to use dev because everything is still up in the air, also, right?
Yes.
Because managers are still like this, pushing. Why is Azure not ready? Why is Azure? Why did we get approved for Azure and then Azure turned around 2 weeks later said we're not available?
Yeah.
But Ling Lee is the DG, and he made that decision, right? It's like, oh, okay, so we're extending.
Is there any reason you can't use dev? Like, is there any advantage to using
no,
just other than?
Well, we can use dev for sure. It's just that if we're doing a lot of, like, we have to fix this and that. But today, I think what I'll do is I'll tell them to use dev. We have like only 3 customers that are looking at it, so I'll tell them to do that. My concern is going forward is if we change everything to our standard, then we got to change all the code, and now I'm worried
having like
it'll work for this time.
Yeah, so I guess you're thinking you get two versions of the database, 2 versions of your code.
Exactly. So ideal would have been Azure. Next ideal would have been, I asked Ryan, does he have a Postgres database? He told me he does. He can stand all that up, but the problem there is that he doesn't have an external, because part of this app is it's got to go to the X prod, right? Because when people fill the forms, the 3 pages that they fill in is external. So there's a lot of like, how do we manage that? The only way we can do that in AFC is to go to the Oracle database because there's no Postgres database on-prem.
Okay.
So that was the problem. It's either cloud or Oracle in this situation, unless there's like we start like major refactoring, like code, to have an app that's just external.
Yes.
Push all that data internal to a VM Postgres, and then it just becomes a nightmare.
Okay, so is it still kind of like a temporary thing that you're kind of just, or you don't? I guess you don't know where you don't have a cloud date or an Azure date where you're going to have access to it.
So Terry tells me they're going to get ATO in April, but then they told me they were going to get it in December. So, and then the conversation has to happen with them. Okay, maybe we have and we've spent a lot of time making things work on Oracle WebLogic. It's not the database is the least of the problem. The WebLogic is the huge. So do we spend all that kind of time and effort and then just, they got to be like solid ready, because then we have to roll everything back. So it's, so I was trying to keep things as close to the ISAT code as possible. So if it pivoted any other way, you know what I mean, from the application standpoint, that we would, already there's changes, you got to make changes on the code layer because of the Oracle side. Now, if you start making all the changes on the table structures and everything, I have to change all the code, then we really start forking away. So I was trying to stay true to ISAT's model as much as possible.
So would it work, I guess, is that if we sort of stay in dev for the time being? And I guess for the as far as us going through and getting standards, as long as you're open to do that later, like if say everything changes and boom, this is what
let's say everything changes. It's almost like when you borrow stuff from other departments, it's like a cost product, right? And then, but it's not, because you have to make changes. So normally we go to SQL Server for those, and then they're given
So I guess maybe the only thing that sort of from our perspective is that if it, as long as it's not one of the things where as soon as you start, as soon as it goes in the one way, that there's no going back, and there's no going, like if it becomes permanent, there's no way to go back and for us to make sure that it's a standard.
I don't think that would be so. Let's say
as long as you're open to that as an option in the future, then I don't see why we can kind of skip that for now. And almost consider this to be sort of a temporary, or like a sandbox.
Temporary solution. So,
and actually, when I was looking at it, I wasn't really that concerned, because it's not like, it's like all over the place, and it's just doesn't make any sense. Like it's pretty small, it's pretty standard.
It's a small app.
So
it's pretty small standard. I think the way I see it is, let's say ISAT comes to us, or psss and RCMP says, okay, blow it, we're not coming out with the big version 2. And we are on the Oracle and thing. I think at that time, then our exercise then will be, okay, this is staying here, right? Everything's working, staying here. We're gonna spend time to flip that to standards. You know what I mean? Because it's staying. Right? But if they came and said, okay, we made the changes, then we would, at that time, we would go and say, okay, we would take the time on our side to say, okay, we are now pushing all this to Azure. Right? Because then I'm thinking down the road, what I'm trying to benefit from is, if ISAT spends considerable amount of contract dollars, or any dollars, let's say making a new change on version 2, I want to avoid us spending the same or even 50% of the money, because they've already done the work. So we should be able to take it, install it, and then, of course, I always call it agrifying it, right? The agriculture, that's where and those are all HTML interfaces already changing, and some pre-populated data of drop downs and stuff like that has to change. But for sure, if we're staying, guaranteed we're gonna go to standards.
And is this a standalone? It's a standalone application.
It's a standalone app.
There's that, and I guess the other thing too would be, I guess, it's just more for the DBAs. Like you've been sending them like just DDL updates.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing, because we don't have licenses for Irwin stuff, and then I told them not to embark on all that work, because we got to go to IA, we got to get their blessing and agreement so either way, we can do it either way, but we didn't want to go over like your and the DBA's area, so we just sending them DDLs.
So I think they would prefer. So do you see like there being many more changes? Like, are you pretty much towards the end, or?
I think like there's a couple of I mean most of them are all like like the comment and all that
Okay,
and
okay,
like reserved words it looks like
okay,
that we're
okay.
hitting so those kind of changes but the tables I mean the table structure we're not going to change right it's got to be
For the most part, okay.
like
I know. I guess you don't have access to Irwin or anything like that. I don't think, eh?
we don't have access to
Okay.
Irwin because I think it's licensed right
Yes, yeah, it is.
yeah
So
yeah
actually, I think maybe so. What we could do is I could put it into Irwin myself
oh
and
okay
have it sync with the database you have now.
okay
Okay,
oh
and then
thanks
if you have any changes, um, instead of just going to the DBA, you can tell me the changes,
okay and
and
have a
I'll just
comps
put
okay
I'll put and I can do it in Irwin, and notify the DBA that way. Just that it's more
okay
that's sort of the kind
the
of a more
process
consistent
behind
way.
okay
Um,
okay
and I mean if it's the odd um, field, and then actually we will have a record of it. And
okay okay
if we go later on, if we want to go to if we're going to pursue the standards, then I already
yeah
have it documented, and it'd be
and
more
then we can
it'd be pretty much um, straight on. So is that something you could
that's a good
work
idea
with, or
yeah we
okay?
can work with that and you want us to just stay on the dev line for now is that what
Yes,
you want us to do
yes,
okay
yes.
just stay on dev um you would thanks Bruce so you're going to bring it in Norwin so that and then if there's any changes we just come to you
Yes, yeah.
and have that conversation and
Yeah,
then
and as
I
long
can
as
go
and that won't be that won't take us as long as you're not adding 50 tables, you're not switching everything
oh no
around.
no
So I
we
mean
like
it's fine,
we're
and
not
it's
adding any table
yeah.
like
So that's yeah, that's good for
like a,
us. Uh,
yeah
and then so we do it for now, and I guess maybe if you want to go from dev to somewhere else, we'll look at that a little bit later.
yeah okay okay sounds good yeah sounds good